Welcome back to the Unstoppable podcast, and today I'm joined with Katie, who is my incredible mindset coach and also friend, but also now a High Rocks athlete.
I know, we can add that to the list as well.
So just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, because obviously they know you do the mindset work. You've been probably seeing her across my Instagram quite a lot. Because of her incredible PB that she's just achieved at High Rocks in Manchester. But what do you do? Where'd you come from? I feel like it's a bit of a dating show. What do you do? Where'd you come from? Tell us your life story.
Yeah, well, I'm Katie and I largely grew up around the Midlands, so Nottingham, Birmingham. Now I live in Manchester, been here since March time, and we met because we live together here.
Yeah.
And I'm a mindset coach, so different to probably a lot of what you might think about mindset coaching. A lot of that stuff works only on the mental level, but I've created a unique methodology where I'm working on 5 levels with my clients, which is why we get rapid results fast. Yeah. So we go deep into not only the conscious mind, which is believed to be housed in the body, in the head, but everything that's housed in the body, the unconscious, somatics, emotional processing, and working into behavioural work as well. So yeah, we do a lot, don't we?
Yeah, we do a heavily amount a lot. And I've had mindset coaching, I've had therapy before. And when I say it, it's very weird to explain to someone what it actually is if they don't actually do it and get it.
Yeah.
Because I think you can explain to someone that obviously we touch on how it feels in the body, where it is in your body, how can you somatically track that? And some people are still a bit like, what is that? So how would you give that explanation a little bit more to someone who's probably a little bit apprehensive and a bit like, is it not just like what I've had done before?
Yeah, or why can't I just talk about this and resolve it, for sure. And I think that's one of the most powerful reasons why I do the work the way that I do it, because they say that our conscious mind, when we just work there, we're only really impacting 5% of our behaviour. So if you do a methodology of either coaching or therapy that solely works on a mental level, you're only getting quite surface level shifts. But our behaviour is largely driven 95% by our unconscious, like a set of programming that we created in childhood or we inherited from the generations before us, and we can just keep running on that programming unless we get to pull it from the unconscious into the subconscious, and that's where we get to shift it and change it. And one of the beautiful ways that I like working on this deeper level is, as you say, somatics and emotional processing. So not just like what do you think about something, but how does your body experience it? So for example, it might be that I had a situation and I felt like a failure, right? Okay, how did your body experience that? And it might be something like, oh, I get this big lump in my throat, or I get these knots in my stomach, or I get this sensation. And we get really clear about mapping this out, which can feel quite unusual at first. You kind of feel like you're making it up, right?
Yeah, you're like, am I feeling this? Or am I just, is it just there?
Yeah, we get so clear on it, like the temperature, the colour. Is it in the body? Is it outside of the body? Is it dense? Is it heavy? Is it light? All of these things. So you get to get super clear on what your body is experiencing, which also allows you to drop out of your mind, let go of the story so you can really process it as a sensation. And often when we feel these things, and I'll ask you, is this sensation new or familiar? And almost every time it's like, oh yeah, I've felt this before. Even if now is like the first time you've ever tracked it, it's like, yes, I know what this is. And we go back to, okay, where do you remember this from the first time, or as far back as you can remember? And often it is something in childhood. It could even be something from a situation in a playground, or it could be something with your parents that then we get to go back to the root and clear it there. And by clear it, I don't mean reject it, get rid of it, put it in the bin, but how do I love and integrate this part of me so that it's no longer really fighting for my attention?
Yeah, and I think the big misconception with not therapy, but like the work that we do, because it is therapy in a way, but it isn't therapy at all. Because it is therapy in the word that it's actually healing you.
Yeah. Would it be useful if I give a brief overview of therapy versus coaching?
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. So the way that I like to explain this to my clients is therapy is really powerful for if you are in a space where maybe you're not functioning super great or at the space you'd want to be. Maybe you have some unintegrated big T trauma that is impacting the way that you function, or some kind of addiction or something like that. Therapy is amazing for stuff like that. With coaching, like, people need therapists, nobody needs a coach. Coaching takes people from good to great. So you don't need me for you to be functioning, for you to get through your daily life, but you want me on your team because the things that we achieve together are unbelievable. So coaching, I would say, is like how to better your best, how to go from good to great, and how to really tap into what you're capable of and see yourself beyond your limitation. And yes, that's not always solely moving forward. A lot of the time we do go back to go forward in this sort of slingshot way of, okay, let's go back to where this started. We integrate this at the root and then watch you fly.
Yeah, and I think as well, and I definitely had this before having actual coaching with you, is the fact that we need to be able to completely remove and eradicate any sort of them feelings and emotions that do come up with them situations when they do come up again. And that's what, if it was going to work, that's what it would be. That was my thought process before going into all this. However, it's more learning how to deal with it when it comes up and process. You're like, she's got it. I was like, yes. She's got it. But it's more dealing with how to process it rather than actually remove it completely. And I think that's why a lot of people may potentially put things on the back burner for a little while to actually commit to doing something about it, because they're like, I want to just get rid of it. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to heal it. I just want to put it basically under the carpet, ignore it, and just see you later. And I think that's why a lot of the time, it obviously it does work. It really does work. It's worked for me. It works for loads of the people I know. But like, I think that's why it doesn't work for them type of people who have that mentality and haven't got that awareness around what you're actually supposed to be utilising it for your power.
Yeah, it's like such amazing insight to hear you reflect that, and also from your experience as well, where you've seen it.
It's our student over here.
And yeah, it's like we don't want to change any of these parts. We don't want to get rid of them. We don't make any of it bad or wrong, but we change the relationship that we have with them.
Yeah.
So that when they come up, when your little one starts like waving at you and is jumping up and down trying to get your attention, yeah, the temptation might be like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Let's just get rid of her. Or she's stupid the way that she thinks that. And that resistance means you are always going to hit this roadblock, because that part is just going to get louder and louder, maybe not in your mind, but in your body to get your attention. But when you can meet that part with acceptance, with love, and love doesn't invalidate, love doesn't be like, oh, you shouldn't think that or you're wrong. Love just listens and leans in. We get the wisdom out of these parts, because this is actually showing you the exact roadmap to your freedom.
Yeah.
And when you get to tap into it and use that, then it's almost like this part is just loved and integrated in you. And I like to share this concept of wholeness, of imagining you are in a swimming pool and you have all of these different beach balls. And some of them are super easy to pick up and hold. So it's like, oh, here's my happiness. Let me show everyone my happiness. And you want to hold it, share it, project it onto everything and everyone. And it's really easy for you to hold that part of you. Now, we have so many different parts. Sometimes we can either believe them when they come up, we can be identified within them. And we can judge them, but when you step outside of that, that's when you get to see yourself in your wholeness. So that when another part comes along that is fear or guilt or shame or something like that, yeah, the temptation might be, I'm going to resist this. You want to hold it down under the water. And it's not the thing that hurts, it's the resistance to it.
Yeah, and that resistance is hard. It is hard. Like, we've had sessions where it has been hard, but then a few days after I've been like, oh, we're actually all right. Because sometimes that resistance needs that time to be there.
Yeah.
A little bit more time, maybe than what we have in sessions, to be able to actually process and not identify with it. Because when you've had to deal with things and stuff like that, which we've spoken about, and like other people who are listening to this now, it is so hard to not make it your identity.
Yeah, totally.
And be able to actually expand from from that identity, I feel like is a massive shift in itself, and that's when obviously we do get the big breakthroughs.
Yeah.
And in terms of the expansion part, what would you say like the biggest thing for you as someone who does this work personally, does this work professionally?
Yeah.
What would you say like the key components are for someone to be able to lean into that expansion, who is potentially maybe like, maybe this could be for me, or maybe like I need to do maybe therapy before this?
Yeah, and therapy in combination with coaching also can work really well. But what I would say is I really do believe in the divine timing of when people are ready to do this work. Sometimes it takes people to get to the place where they're like, never again. And I've had my own rock bottom moments. And
we all have.
yeah, and you know, I've been there. I've been so identified in my disempowered parts. And also, ironically, that is where I thought I was the strongest and the most powerful. That was the place where I was like, I can do all this and I can do it on my own and I don't need any help. And I felt so empowered and strong. And actually,
independent.
I was just believing this disempowered part of me that wanted to keep me small and wanted to keep me stuck. The moment I said yes to my healing and invested in my growth and my expansion, and I was like, never do I want to be in this place again. Then it's like, wow, I work with someone else. I get to shortcut my learning curve. I get to fast track my results, because when you're working on your own, thinking you have to do everything on your own, you cannot see your own blind spots.
Yeah.
You can't step outside of your own beliefs, because you will hear it as the truth, because you've been hearing it for the last 10, 20, 30 years, however old that you are. So yeah, I live and embody this work, and obviously I have a lot of skill set around this professionally, and I've been doing this for a long time personally, so that when my stuff comes forward, I don't get identified with it, I don't believe it, and I am always open to expanding my awareness beyond the first belief that comes forward. But it takes practice, and I still get coached every single week because I love who I am when I'm doing this work.
Yeah.
So I would say if someone is like, oh, don't know if this is for me or not, there are some great ways to explore this. You know, for example, if you work with me or work with someone else, I have options where you can work as just a one-off session, experience the power of this work and decide if it's for you or not. If it's not, it's not. If it's for you, yeah, sign up to a package. If you want to test out therapy, sure, why not? But I've had a lot of people come to me from the route of therapy because that's the thing that they know more about, that's the thing they've heard more about. So they're like, okay, I'll try this. And then they're like, wow, I got more out of one session with you than I did in 6 years of therapy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of the experience that I've heard from people on therapy is that they have just talked themselves around in circles for years and years while someone just goes, yes, and reflects a little bit back to them of what they've said, which in my view, maybe if you're the sort of person who's never really had a space held for you to be heard, yeah, that can be really healing. But it's not going to encourage you to step outside of your own thoughts, and it's not really going to allow you to integrate or expand. So
yeah, and one thing that I've learned as well from all of this is to do the thing that scares you the most, where that resistance is, do it.
Yeah.
And lean into it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Can I have a gold star?
A star for this one. And yeah, you know, my invitation is always, when you feel resistance, that is your opportunity to lean in, because this is life coaching you to show you where you can get free. Now, when we first work together, like you or any other client, often the sensation is resistance, and I'll give the invitation, but if there's resistance there, I'm not going to add another layer of resistance to that resistance. So it's like, okay, where else can I work with you to give you some freedom because this stuff will project everywhere in your world. If you're experiencing something in your business, I guarantee it's showing up in your relationship as well, or vice versa. So if we can work in one space where there's maybe less resistance and it's easier to lean in, yeah, we do the work there and it filters through everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are ways to still have your freedom, and I always encourage people to honor their truth. If something doesn't feel good for you, like, yeah, you can test it out, you can hold it and see how it feels for you. But if you're like, nope, I'll be honest though, I've never had anyone where this work hasn't worked. But sometimes you need to get a bit of buy-in to be invested to do it, and yeah, the results on the other side are incredible, well worth the journey.
Yeah, and I agree, like 110%. Like the work, is it 4 months we've now been
I think we're in month 5 now.
We'll say 4.5 months.
Yeah.
The journey I've been on for the last 4.5 months, I have grown and developed more than I ever have done with therapy, than I ever have, like you said yourself, like I felt most empowered when I was the least empowered. Like I was in such a bad mental place, but it was like I had that grit and that determination to be like, I can do it on my own. I can sort myself out on my own. Read all the self-help books, would do the meditation, but like it wouldn't be like deep, it would be just like visualising, but it wouldn't actually hit the spot.
Yeah.
Hence why that's when you have the rebound and then you can't process and then you're back to where you was and you're like, oh, here I am again. And it's just constant like back and forth and yo-yos, whereas like now, yes, obviously we do the work, things crop up, like you say, every level has a new devil.
Yeah.
But it's for what? Not even a day. Like it'd go on for weeks where I'd be in a slump, whereas like now it's like, all right, okay, like what do I need to work on here to be able to move from that? And I think that's such a really powerful tool to have, where, like you said, like I absolutely love doing this work. I love the person that I am when I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Your face is, I'm loving it.
I'm so proud.
But like I love how I am when I do when I do this work. Hence why I've signed up for another year with Katie. Because I'm a better person, but also as well, like there's things that will crop up that obviously personally for me, as the business grows, as I grow as a person, there is going to be new things that do crop up, and I want to make sure that this next year, while the business is in the heavily growing period, that I've got my like safe space to be able to be like, okay, so this has happened. How can we see where this has pulled us back slightly or blocking us to get to that next level?
Yeah. And it's beautiful because, you know, even when you wanted to re-enroll for a year and there was that conversation that we had of, I want to check in and make sure the space that I'm coming from when I sign up to this, because I don't want to feel like I'm signing up because I can't do it on my own, which is not what we do.
Oh, I literally did it on my own the other day.
Yeah, I know. It's
like literally yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, like you learn the tools, so I'm teaching you how to fish. This isn't like you need me for you to be okay. It's again this idea of like, well, when I have someone on my team, I get to shortcut that learning curve by expanding and seeing beyond where I get to. And also like you now have become so advanced in the tools that we are doing that even, you know, the emotional processing work, something that in the past before we did this work might have derailed you for like, you know, I'd say a day, but more like a week, a month, a year. You know, some people, this stuff, they hold on to it for decades, whereas now we process an emotion and it's through you in like 90 seconds. And that's the power of emotional mastery. Not, you know, as a lot of people either do, as I say, emotional indulgence, where you just re-loop the story, reactivate your emotion, experiencing it again and again. And this is where people hold on to it for a really long time. Or the resistance, where you're pushing it to the side and it never gets to do that, but you've really mastered the art of allowing this stuff to move through your human experience so that it doesn't control you. So it's like, yeah, these parts come up, but they don't drive.
No. No, they do not drive no more. But like, it's such an empowering feeling to be able to take that control back, because I feel like that is what the control had, like it took complete control over me, and we don't let them drive no more. And I think that's such a powerful thing to be able to do. And this is something that we spoke about with you with High Rocks, about not letting it take over and drive. Because one of the things that you said to me, and I found it absolutely baffling, was like, can I actually keep up with you? And I'm like, yes. Yes, you can. But like, you could have let that drive. Like, how do you feel like you expanded throughout that process of training with me for High Rocks and obviously getting a 12-minute PB in 2 weeks?
Yeah, 12 minutes in 2
2 weeks
is wild. Yeah, like I really do embody the work that I do. And as I say, I get coached every week. And High Rocks for me, like doing the one that I did 2 weeks before and doing with you, was a really beautiful moment where life was coaching me in so many ways. And some of it I'm still integrating and I haven't fully moved through yet, but it expanded me in so many ways. And also, you know, I love holding a space for other people's expansion. Historically, I have not been good at being held myself. So being in your energy and having you guide me and hold me was like healing on so many levels also. And having someone in your corner who just wants to champion you and who, you know, my 5K PB before, for example, was like
27 minutes 30.
She knows it, 27 minutes 30. And working with you, I was like, I wonder how fast I can actually do this. Go on the treadmill, ran it in 23 minutes. And I was so excited. And I came out to see you and you were on a call and I was just like, oh, we should finish
Let me show them.
I just so much. And I'm like, oh my God, did I actually do that? And having someone to believe in you beyond your own limitation is powerful. And it's, you know, so similar to the work that I do in that I didn't know that was possible for me and my body. And to be able to have someone be like, yo, yeah, you can do this. Sometimes having that permission to be like, okay, maybe I can do that. And someone expands the belief that you have in yourself. And as well as like, yeah, you know, the stuff that you would expect from coaching as well, because, you know, it's not my area of expertise. Nutrition, that's not...
The work. The work we had to do
what
on
we had
nutrition.
for breakfast, Katie? A Percy pig and a coffee.
That's Katie's that is not the work I've done with her, by the way.
No, but you know, I wasn't sleeping well. I was getting DOMS after all my sessions and just feeling drained, and like I didn't want to do my training because I'm like, my body is sore, I'm tired.
Let me just interject. Katie is renowned to only having in her fridge dash
water and
dash
trip.
water and
If they want to
trip.
sponsor me, I'm open to it.
Yeah, that's all she has in her fridge. Anything else?
No.
So we had to change that.
Yeah, I don't cook. So it was funny, one time you messaged me to ask me if I had, I don't know, potatoes or something.
Potatoes. I was like, Katie, can I just borrow a potato, please? Because I'm running out. I want a jacket potato. The randomest of things.
No, I can offer you a dash.
She was like, no, nothing.
I did have olive oil though the other day when you wanted that.
She had olive oil, but what is the olive oil going to do if you have nothing to cook with?
Yeah, just heat up my dash. But yeah, like getting my nutrition on track, that made a massive difference to the energy that I had, both through my training sessions, both to help me to sleep and afterwards. And then also getting really intelligent with the training that I was doing to get me so much faster. And then the mindset to know I could hold that as well. Because I think, you know, that there is going to be a part that comes into play that inevitably wants to keep you safe, right? And so it will be like, oh, don't run that fast, you might have a heart attack and die. Okay, I'm not going to run that fast. And whether that happens on a conscious level or like unconsciously, like I don't want to run that fast because I don't think I can do that, something bad might happen, or I'll probably fly off the end of a treadmill. You know, anything like that, and then you will stop yourself from doing it. But in the race, like the mindset really carried me through because it was tough. Our first kilometre was 3 minutes 40, which completely blew my mind. When you showed me the numbers afterwards, I was like, are we sure that happened?
By the way, you shouldn't really go out that hot, but Katie was pacing with... Katie just went, you pace it. I went, all right. So we was running. We felt all right.
Yeah.
I think just after the ski, Katie couldn't see or hear anything.
It's like, how are you doing? I'm like, my hearing's kind of going, so...
And I can't really see anything.
I was like, so I should probably slow down a bit, hey.
Oh, God.
But yeah, no, it was amazing to see that. And also as you go through that, you can get caught up in the energy of even like really buying into that and letting that part drive. I could have done that. And I almost did that.
Yeah, she almost did it. And I just started singing to her all the way around.
It's like sing, I'm like...
Get out of your own head.
But then like checking in, if I'm telling myself, wow, I'm having a hard time, this is really hard, I don't know if I can finish it, how fun is that race going to be for me for a start? And also how likely am I going to be finishing it? Not very. So it was like tuning in instead to the part of me that's like, no, you've got this, you've trained for this, you can do this, and really allowing that to be my narrative. And actually one of the things I was doing with my mind in terms of insourcing is before we started that race, I imagined that I filled that whole venue with my power. so that it was available to me anywhere and I could tune into it. So we're running around a lap and I'm like, okay, I've got some more power here. Let me grab hold of that. Let me insource it. It's mine and I'm the supplier. It can never run out. So really like drawing that in versus feeling drained and depleted by the stories I tell myself.
Yeah, and I think, well, that is what we do with our athletes as well. That visualization process is so, so important when you're in that race or even before that race to really, really map it out. And on the next podcast, me and Emily are going to speak about Birmingham. But that's how it can make or break your race. And I think personally that I needed to do that race with you as well. Not just the fact that I wanted to do it with you, I needed to do it with you as well, to be able to show that I can in-source that too. Because I'm not going to lie, when I nearly had to do all them fucking burpees, we had a game plan of Katie doing the burpees because she's very good at the burpees. She's very short, she's very springy, and she can do them very fast. Me, however, I die every single time I do them. And when I nearly had to do them all again, my head was like, fuck, here we go. I didn't want to do them because that weren't part of the plan. However, I needed to do them, and that pushed me out of my comfort zone of being like, right, no, it's okay, you can do them. Yeah. Like, you can do them, you can do them well. I've done them in Sims, I've trained with Emily, I've freaking smashed them in the Sims. I did it in a Sim with you, smashed it in that. I can do it in a race, and I needed to just get past that point and do that at that point to prove to me that I can, like you said, in-source that power and be able to move through it. So then when I come into my next race, I'm like, my besties.
It's funny how these things show up exactly as you need them, right?
Yeah.
So even, you know, without knowing that and being like, yeah, I can do the burpees, but obviously, like, I was blowing by that point. I did some of them, by the way.
She did do some of them.
There's a little bit of video footage evidence of that.
It's actually quite a lot.
Oh, okay, I did do some.
You did do some.
But it's like, you know, life will bring you the opportunities for you so that you get to experience, and sometimes that will be reliving a situation so you can relive it in your power. Yeah. Sometimes it'll be reliving, so, you know, we go through this process of like, I move, I get to a higher perspective, and you get to see it from these different angles. You get to take the wisdom from the experience. So in that, it's like, yeah, you're moving from that higher perspective and you get to see, I can do the burpees, I can do the race, and I can smash it.
And we both changed our High Rocks narrative with Manchester.
Yeah, we got to rewrite the story.
We both rewrote the story, and that is, I'm very grateful for the fact that I got to share it with you.
Yeah.
Because you've been incredible with me the last few months, and I just think it was meant to be. Like, after my Birmingham race, I was just like, and I was thinking this, maybe I'll do a doubles or a solo in Manchester, but like the first person that come to mind to do a doubles was with you.
Aww.
That was before you even messaged me about doing the doubles, or like, I messaged you, like it was already in my head.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like, when you suggested it, I was like, wow, what an opportunity. Like, I am not saying no to this. And even, you know, when we're training together and it's like we're running together, the energy that I feel from that just makes me believe in myself so much more. Like, running next to you and I'm like, oh, I'm just doing this to whatever. And then I was like, no, I'm an athlete and I'm supposed to be here. And I'm doing this because I'm capable. So again, it was like that shift in mindset. But running next to you and even seeing us on the treadmill and looking at me and being like, wow, we look pretty fast. Yeah. And the reels you put up, I get so, feel so proud and so emotional when I see those, because yeah, it's like, wow, I did that. And to share it with you was amazing.
And just watching back and reflecting the videos, and this is why I've got Jack coming to frigging every single High Rocks race now. There is something special about watching High Rocks videos back. They just light up something inside of you, reflecting back on, it's a hard thing to do. Not many people do it because their belief is that they can't do it. But as soon as you watch them videos back of seeing how strong you actually look, you don't look like you're dying. You look fast, you feel fast, like you can just tap into that energy source so much quicker and easier by having that to reflect on, and I think that's such a powerful thing to have. Now, I believe that everybody's unstoppable. What would you define the word as unstoppable to you?
Yeah, I mean, to extend on that a bit briefly as well, like seeing High Rocks, because the race we did also the day before I volunteered and I was doing the bag drop, so I got to see almost everyone who came to that race. And what I loved about it is that it really is a race for everybody. it's not just for like people who are such high level athletes, or like the vision that I thought I had to be before I did a high rocks. And you get to see everyone doing it and doing it their way, which was just, yeah, incredible to see something so inclusive, so diverse, and so rewarding for so many people. So yeah, I think this idea of being unstoppable is being able to expand beyond the limitations of your own mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it's really powerful. I've really enjoyed filming this podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk forever. So we'll definitely have you back on again, of course. But thank you so much for being on today. It's been lovely. And yeah, let the viewers know where they can find you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I really hope this conversation served, and I so enjoyed it. But if this is something you're curious about exploring, I'm on Instagram at Katie Rogers Coaching. And yeah, you can find out more about what I do there. Also, I do check all of my messages. So if you message me, I will see it and reply to you. And there's more information on my link in bio on how you can work with me, whether you want to do a one-off session and explore this work for yourself, or you want to sign up and you're like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, have a look at what she does, have a conversation, whether it is you want to do something with it, but even just get an insight as to what she does is incredible. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, download, all of that jazz, and I'll see you in the next one.